Okay, I think I've got it. I was just making my dinner and I think I've got like the whole thing. So if you're British, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But imagine a place like the size of Whitby or Campbelltown in like Argyll and Bute sort of area, Largs, um, Isle of Skye. A place big enough where they're self-sufficient, where you don't need to go anywhere for anything, like St Andrews. You've got everything you need there. If you want the big things, you'll have to get them ordered in, sent in, have to go into the city to go and get it, which is a couple of hours drives away. But like it's if ships and that were coming through and docking there, or fishermen came through, this would be the place that they would have stayed, like back in the day. So she's going to have a hotel, bar, restaurant place that she's going to run called the Royal Oak Tree Inn. Oh, right? She's going to be hanging out with her friends and the horses, like she's going to be getting wind of something that's going to happen with the king, the prince, the whoever. So she says to the horses, we need to come up with a plan, blah, blah, blah. But obviously you don't see any of this. You just see her like talking to the horses, well, cuddling up to the horses and the horses nodding, and there being like this whole people saying like she has this weird, she's like the horse whisperer. She has these weird conversations with it. The horses love her and, blah, blah, blah sort of thing, right? There's just, everyone knows who she is. Everyone knows what she is and who she is. Everyone respects her. Everyone knows she's like Mother Earth. They all get why she's there because it's her bloodline, and they know her bloodline. Everyone knows the bloodline because everybody knows the tale of what happened, right? Because the women in the bloodline who are cursed never to find true love, they never get to leave their county. Like, they'll try to go away, but they always get pulled back, or, they'll try to fall in love with a foreign man, but they always get pulled back, like that sort of thing. Like what happened to the ancestor, like, cursed the women so that they were basically going to be stuck until the curse is broken. So she's going to find out about this whole thing. She's going to do her thing. What's going to happen is the horses are going to agree that the minute she gives the signal, all the horses are to stop and refuse to move, even if they're on the race course, even if they're in the middle of a race, they're to stop dead in their tracks. And then she'll interfere, she'll do the thing with her hands, the screen, the message will come up, he'll get the thing, he'll know to put the drink down, panic will ensue. He'll go running because like people will be wondering why him and his little box are being hurried away by Secret Service and cops and all that sort of thing. So then panic ensues, which then gets all eyes on what the hell's going on, and then that's when people start uploading it to the tinterwebs and all that, and start picking it apart and doing the whole conspiracy theory thing. And then that's when he gets involved. That's when John gets involved in the investigation. He wants to get the scoop on who this is, and because everyone's talking about her, but nobody knows who she is, and because like she's hiding under the scarf and coat, like the babushka lady sort of thing, and he tracks her down to this town where it's got everything you need, just like Pitlochry. And if you're British and you've been to Scotland and England and that, you're going to know the places I'm talking about. Certainly no bigger than, it wouldn't be bigger than, it wouldn't be the size of Scarborough. Scarborough would be too big. Think more like Whitby or Pitlochry, but like by the water. Because what I'm thinking is like back in the day, the place that she's turned into the Royal Oak Tree Inn, it's where all the fishermen and that came to stay, because it's kind of harking on the fact that my Arab nana owned a boarding house. So do you see in this story, I'm weaving my own history into it to give it kind of more of a feminine, realistic feel to it, so that even though it's a fictional love story, there's some real experience in there. There's some real, it's weaving, because if it wasn't for my mother and my grandmothers and that, I wouldn't be here. So, so I'm weaving that into the whole thing. So then he gets the job, he finds out who she is, and, they start falling in love. And how the movie is going to start, how the actual movie is going to start, when I think of the name of the woman ancestor who got hung, just say for now it's Sarah. The movie's going to start with clouds rolling in, thunder clouds and that, like a storm rolling in over the village, and lightning striking the branch of a tree and the branch falling down, and people in the village saying like, here's wee Sarah weeping. Oh, bless her. Here's wee Sarah weeping. And it'll be, what'll happen is he'll move in, and there'll be like another storm, and John will say to Julia, whatever, how come whenever a storm rolls in, people around the town keep saying, oh, bless, there's wee Sarah weeping? And then she'll tell her about the story. She'll tell John about the myth, about the story, about the legend. And then, of course, when he goes to make the box and present her with the box, and then she finds out that it was him that, why people wouldn't leave her alone and that sort of thing. She's left with the box, and then, I explained the ending. Her hotel, the Royal Oak Tree Inn, is going to be where he books himself in to stay when he first moves in, when he goes for his job interview and stuff like that. And then he slowly starts to figure out that she's the one. He finds the coat. She's the one from the video. She's the one. And then because he writes it all up and goes to send it all off. But that storm, you see. And then, of course, when she wakes up and there's media and all that outside her window, and she's freaking out and blah, 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 and she's got to get away, because now people are wanting her to like resurrect the dead and do all sorts of things. He realizes what he's done. They have the fight, yada yada blah blah blah, and then that's when he fixes it and comes back with the key. Now the thing is, at the end of the movie, the woman of the story, Julia, she's going to be kind of like narrating the story a bit like the Bridget Jones thing, like the narration of her own story. And at the end, when she's saying about, and then she gave the box of seeds to her daughter and blah, 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 you'll see her I'm thinking either pregnant, talking to her pregnant belly, or when her daughter is like little. And then you'll see the daughter growing up and then taking the seeds when she's pregnant. Like being given the box when she's 16, and then when she's like gotten married and pregnant, and then she takes the seeds and plants it, and then gives the box to her child, like that sort of thing, and then passes the story on. Like it'll be like a end credit, like, and this is how the story ends, sort of thing. But it's going to turn out it's not necessarily the key that broke the curse. It's the fact that the box is going to be made from the branch of the tree that got struck by lightning at the start of the movie, which just happens to be from the grandmother tree where Sarah was hung. And that's what broke the curse. He fixed what he broke for his bloodline. He healed past wounds by mending present ones for his bloodline. And that's what broke the curse. It turns out, because what's going to happen is, obviously he turns up as a woodwork teacher, and they say to him, for any of the small stuff, if there's ever been a storm or whatever, we had that storm the other day, it passed over, you're allowed to take wood from the Kelly forest as long as you're not allowed to chop it down. If it's on the ground, you're allowed to take it. So, of course, then, he's going to have his little fake Facebook thing like, oh, I've moved in and I found this branch up against a tree and I've got a great idea for it, blah, blah, blah. Puts it on his social media and all that. And yeah, and then it's going to turn out that that branch that he took the photo of and made the box out of was actually the branch from the tree, the grandmother tree that is said to have hung our wee poor Sarah. Oh, that's our wee Sarah crying again. Oh, that's our wee Sarah upset. Like they'll have that kind of saying, oh, that's our wee Sarah. Because my nanny used to say that when there was a thunderstorm, that's what my boy used to call it, when there was a thunderstorm, it was God stamping his foot because he was angry at mankind. So, like, yeah, when an unexpected storm comes rolling in, that's wee Sarah upset because she needs to be vindicated because she wasn't a witch. She was a healer. So, yeah, so it like clears her name, it vindicates her name because it means that his ancestral bloodline is finally recognizing they weren't witches, they were like Mother Earth. They were the earth healers, earth elementals. Do you see? Do you see what I mean? So then it lifts the curse. And then she gets to find her true love and they have a baby. And then, you know, it breaks the curse for all the women bloodlines in her family and in his family. And then all those seeds get to be planted and all those flowers get to grow from the lifting of the curse. And that is the story for my rom-com. I just don't know what to call it. Because I've already got a horror called The Music Box. So I don't really want to call it The Love Box or The Jewelry Box or could call it The Woodwork Teacher or The Grandmother Tree, maybe. Call it The Grandmother Tree. The Grandmother Tree. Maybe? Would that be... I mean, pretty cool though, right? I just wove that. Just wove it. The Grandmother Tree. Could call it The Grandmother Tree. The Family Tree. The Family Tree. There's probably already a movie called The Family Tree. I will think of a name, I'm telling you now. But that's it. That's how we're going to do the whole thing. Practical magic, hello again, never been kissed. Oh my god, this is so exciting. So yeah, so she's going to run, and it's going to have like a wee restaurant. They just do home cooked food, like the Alchemist Tavern. The Alchemist Tavern is going to be the tavern attached to her little hotel, Royal Oak Tree Inn, because in a lot of these remote places in Scotland that we went to, the hotels and that served hot food as well. So you could come in off the street and have hot food and have like a wee drink at the bar, or you could like, you know, book one of the rooms and come down and have hot food and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. It'll be like Fort William, Oban, one of those kind of places where back in the day the fishermen and the boats came in and docked, and you know, and now it's mostly tourists, but you know there's also fishermen that come in, and she's kind of when it's like say the off season for the fishermen and stuff, they'll come in and live in one of her rooms for a few weeks, that sort of thing, because that's what my nana's boarding house was in Palmerston North. It was for single men who were travelling past, you know, businessmen and all that sort of thing. She was very, very, very successful. I don't know if she put food on, but I know it was a boarding house. Like, I know it was definitely room, like board, but I don't know about the food in that. But in this movie, she's going to live in a quaint wee town that has everything you need, just like those towns I described. And she's going to have the hotel there. And it's through them, like him staying there, and he gets to know her and finds out it's her, goes for a walk to find a prime piece of wood to carve this box to, you know, teach the kids or whatever, or to carve this box as a gift to her, and to put her jewellery in, because I've decided it's not going to be keys, it's going to be like the jewellery, the pieces of jewellery, because then she's handing that jewellery box to her daughter at the end, but there's seeds in it. So then that jewellery gets handed down to the daughters, but it's the husband that made the box, that sort of thing, and it lifts the curse. So that makes more sense that she puts like heirloom jewellery in it rather than making up some whole elaborate thing. But the heirlooms, the stones and that the jewellery's made out of would have been gifted to them by the animals. Yeah, so the jewellery will be made from the gifts that were brought to the animals, because remember she's a earth elemental, and everybody knows her storyline and her bloodline. Like everyone in the area, like no one cares. Like it's like they know why she's there. She's there to like keep the earth happy and healthy and take care of the animals, and she's like the go-between between the animal world and the fairy kingdoms and the human world and that sort of thing. So they understand all of that. It's him, but by him figuring out what it was that she actually was, and that it wasn't a curse. She didn't put a curse on him to force him to fall in love with her and blah blah blah. When he figures it all out and finally admits, I believe, like I know what you are, and here's the gift and blah blah blah. It lifts the curse. So, and then it's a lovely way to teach people, children especially, about like indigenous mythology and Celt mythology and having respect for nature. And like I said, it starts like a whole conservation program thing. It's also a great way to promote like the animal totem oils that I've been making, and like our animal food and offerings of that you'll be able to put out in the forest, especially at my foundation. You'll be able to buy some of our animal feed and put them out as offerings. And this can all be in the movie, where she goes out with the kids and they take offerings, and that's when he figures out that it's her. But then also it explains why in my other movies, the visual that I have of Brehena Saithusa, Queen Light of the Sun, her crown is made up of feathers and shells and stones and moss and bark and nuts and seeds and all of that. That's her crown. So now it ties that all into the RomCom. I just need a name for it now, and that's me pretty much got it sorted. Like it ties it all in to a magical, phantasmagorical RomCom that is sweet and lovely and innocent, and it will be exciting and sad. And I need to come up with a name for Sarah. Just Sarah seems to always be a common, I mean, it was a common name back then, especially amongst the time when they were hanging witches. But I'll think of a name for her. Matilda. I don't know, I'll think of a name for her, and then I need to perfect the legend, because there'll be like a rhyme that goes with it. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I think it ties it all, everything in beautifully, and it's a beautiful way to honour my two grandmothers, my Indigenous Scottish grandmother and my Arab grandmother. She was born in Syria, but she was Egyptian. Lovely way to remember them. And my mum. Burying hatchets, burying cycles of being neglected, abandoned and or abused wives, cheated on, like that sort of thing. It's going to be like planting a whole new seed in the matriarchal side of my bloodline. This movie will. It's plain, oh my gosh, like that's just so lovely, isn't it? And then of course when I have the foundation, I'm going to have the real royal oak tree in, and the real alchemist tavern. It'll all be real. So now I just need a name for the movie, and I think that's me. I can type that up quite happily on my laptop now to give, you know, for my writers and actors and all of that when we're out looking for talent. I think I've completely figured it out now. All the knots have been unpicked, everything's been all untwisted, and now it's just gonna, yeah, a phantasmagorical, spiritual, magical rom-com. What can we call it? The woodwork teacher, the grandmother tree, the grandmother tree. We'll see. Something will stick. I'll speak to you later. My tea's ready.